When considering an Optix panel for remote access, keep in mind compact Optix panels come with Remote Access Basic, and standard Optix panels come with Remote Access Pro. In this video, we will showcase the configuration needed to set up remote access on a standard Optix panel. The first thing that we need to do is set up the hardware so that we can establish a remote access connection. This is done by rebooting the hardware and selecting the button on the screen to edit the configuration menu. Once inside the Optix panel configuration menu, you need to select the Interfaces menu, then select the checkbox to enable enhanced discovery on Ethernet 1, which is the LAN interface. This is needed so that we can establish a local connection to verify equipment is ready for the VPN connection. Next, we will move to the FactoryTalk Remote Access menu. We will need to press the Connect button, which will provide an ID and password. This is needed for Remote Access Manager and is randomly generated. If you forget the ID and password, you can return to this page or use the Remote Access widget to view from within the HMI application. After a connection has been established with Remote Access Manager, a disconnect button will appear, allowing you to manually disconnect or locally shut off all remote access connections. Also in this menu, if you like to pass through VPN connection, we need to enable the checkbox for both WAN and LAN network interfaces. Lastly, I recommend enabling the checkbox to allow local connection. This is the configuration needed to allow the local connection tool to access the hardware on LAN or WAN networks. Once we have these settings, we are done with the hardware configuration. It is important to understand that if you make it to this point, but are not able to establish a connection remotely, we need to verify the firmware of the panel is 4.0.2 or newer. Once the hardware is set up, we need to move to Remote Access Manager. Within the manager, we will select Add Device and then select Add Device Remotely. If you select Add Device Remotely and a new screen labeled Add Device doesn't show up, we need to make sure that you have the remote access tools installed. Those can be found under the Tools, then Download section in Remote Access Manager. When the new window appears, we will need to enter the ID and password that was collected from the connection page or from the remote access widget within the application. After you type in the ID and password, if the device is found, the window will close and it will now appear in your domain view of Remote Access Manager. Once the device manager appears, it will have a green icon next to it indicating that it has an active WAN connection and is visible to Remote Access Manager. If the icon moves from green to gray, that means the Remote Access Manager can no longer see the hardware. When choosing method of connection, if you enable the device operator controls, then the HMI will display a pop-up window requesting operator verification. These boxes are viewed by scrolling down inside the device information window. If you select the VPN and you had both LAN and WAN enabled, you will now get an IP address in the private network. This is visible in the VPN screen when you get a remote desktop session and see all the connections. The VPN tool looks identical to the local connection tool and functions the same also. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, please reach out to your local ES&E account manager or automation specialist.